Let's get ready to talk about data chats and using our iReady curriculum. So, what are we going to cover? We're going to talk about what is a data chat, why do we do a data chat, what does a data chat look like, and some things to kind of keep in mind while we do them. So, what's a data chat? Well, a data chat helps us as educators find out what our students know, what are they ready to learn, but also to make plans for our students. But once we're done with the data, what do we do with that? Well, to do a data chat, this is us explaining to our student, the learner, what they know and understand and how they know and understand it. This is a great opportunity to help them make a plan for their learning. What can they improve on? But also, this builds community between you and your classroom. Goal setting and data chats is a really good way to stretch students to work to have empowerment of their learning. So, honesty is the best policy when it comes to students. We're focusing on student improvement. We're working to build relationship, understanding the why we assess multiple times a year versus just checking this off on a box. This is looking at students being empowered. Well, in order for them to be empowered, they have to understand the behaviors that they have as learners, but also have ownership over their learning and their understanding. So, data chats are a really good way to put the empowerment back in our students' hands. Some guidelines for a data chat. We want to act promptly. This is as the data is fresh and we are looking at it to help students goal set and focus on their learning. We want to follow up using some reminders, maybe some visible tracking in your room to see that they are committed to a plan. Setting goals is imperative to a data chat. We want to make sure that students are able to identify specific achievable goals as well as clear next steps. We want to use language that's friendly to our students, partnering with them so that they see that we want them to be curious and we also want them to be collaborative, not only with other students but also adults. So that way they are taking ownership of those goals. But we also want to be transparent and sensitive. Sometimes data isn't always easy to talk about with kids, especially when they don't perform quite how we think that they might. So, how do we go forward with data chats? Well, iReady has a couple of different pre-planning data chats to use with students before they take their diagnostic. Things to be thinking about, okay, before students take it as they are reflecting upon their learning. This is more appropriate to probably use with the intermediate grades, with like 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. I wouldn't necessarily do the pre-planning piece with the younger kids with K1, 2. That might be kind of difficult for them. However, after, when you are having that post-assessment data chat, what does that mean? This is where it comes into that goal setting. So different ways that we can have that goal setting conversation with students. Right here we have kind of like our K through 2 data sheet. We have this one here, which is pretty good for like 2, 3, and then this one right here is great for 4, 5. If you have English as a second language learners, go ahead and pick the one that works best for your students. iReady has lots of different languages and examples in their data chat handouts. So as you begin to kind of have that conversation with students, there's bar graphs on the side for them to begin to track their learning, setting those goals, making sure that they're using some of those great test taking strategies, taking their time, doing personal best. But also in the older grades, hey, we're setting goals and we are also making action plans for this. This data isn't just data to be had. So what does a data chat look like in action? Let's go ahead and take a peek. Hi, Scott. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about your diagnostic results from math. So something that I want you to kind of think about is this year we're going to work on some goal setting with doing the diagnostic. So last week when you took it for mathematics. And so what we're going to do is after we talk, we're going to shade in your score right over here on our bar graph. So you got a 425. So we're going to come right here in between the 400 and the 450. So 425 would be right there. And we're going to kind of like shade in. So different things that we have kind of on our diagnostic that I want to talk about is something called typical growth and stretch growth. Because like anything, we all grow at different rates and different times. No two people are the same, and our bodies are all different. Just like our brains. All brains are different. So right here, you got a 425, but we are working to get is a 451 by the end of the year. Okay, and this is just to get us at grade level. Okay, so right now, a 451 is where we want to be later on. Your stretch growth, like, hey, you were really working hard this year in 3rd grade, you were really pushing yourself, you got to a 460. That's like you were going above and beyond and working really hard. So a couple of things I want to talk about with your diagnostic is what the diagnostic is telling us. Because you took the test, but do you really know why we took the test? All right, so we take this diagnostic test to help me as a teacher know what do you know, but to also help you know what do you know and what do we need to work on to be ready for next year in 4th grade. So some of the things that you do know that you rocked it on, okay? You know how to count, read and write numbers from 1 to 120. Good job. You know how to add 2-digit numbers and 1-digit numbers. You can even add and subtract without regrouping. Woo. You're able to skip count by 5s, 10s, 100s, and 1,000. That's a hard skill. You should be very proud of yourself. You can even mentally add when you're given a number and be able to go from there. And you can read and write some different decimal numbers. But we have some areas that we want to kind of work on within this area. Something that we want to work on is being able to identify some of the different values of a digit and its place value. So like, is it a 1s, is it a 10s, is it a 100s? That's something that's still kind of tricky. We also want to make sure that we are looking at a number, is it greater than or less than? So you know how to add and subtract, but what comes next in a sequence, and is 10 more than or less than, let's say, 15? Those are things that we're going to be working on and comparing. As we kind of keep working, some different things that you're also able to do, you're able to add and do word problems, you're able to solve some basic facts, and you're able to add and subtract some different problems by counting backwards, like counting backwards by 1, counting backwards by 2, counting backwards by 3. Not everybody can do that. You did that, and you did a great job on that. So different things that we're going to work on this year to help improve and to meet and work on these goals to help your brain get ready for next year in 4th grade. We're going to be working on subtraction, and we're going to work on like subtraction word problems. We're also going to look at identifying like even numbers and odd numbers, because you know how to add and subtract, but is it an even or an odd number? So we're going to review some different things like that this year. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some things that you feel like you did well. Okay, what's one thing that you're proud of with your diagnostic?
I feel like I worked hard and I tried my best, and some of the stuff we've already been talking about in class, I feel like I was able to remember that, skip counting, that kind of
Awesome. So right here in this box where it has like, what are you proud of? We're going to write down what you feel like you were proud of. So I'm going to give you a chance to kind of write down like what you feel like you were proud of. All right, so thinking ahead, what is a goal that you want to work on to help meet getting a 451 or a 460? What are you going to do to help you get better?
I think maybe making sure that I'm paying attention in class and asking good questions when it's galaxy time.
Yeah, I think that's really good. So making sure that we're focused on our learning. let's think even more than just being focused on your learning, because
Okay.
being focused on your learning is really good, but let's think about specific things can we do. Can we maybe use a number line for adding or subtracting?
Yeah.
Can we maybe use our base 10 counters? So thinking about things that we can do to help you work on the skill beyond just, I want to be focused.
Yes.
What do you want to specifically write down?
I like using a number line. I
Okay.
think that would-
You think a number line would be helpful with
Yeah.
that counting backwards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how are you going to achieve your goals? So how are you going to work on like using a number line? Like what can we do to make sure we're achieving this goal?
I think making sure that I'm practicing with that regularly.
Oh, I like that. Is that something where if I have some number lines available, maybe either on your desk or maybe in the classroom you'd actually use?
Yeah.
That would be fantastic. I'll talk with Mrs. MG, our math interventionist, and see if she can get some different tools for us to have in the classroom for you to feel like you're able to support yourself with your learning. I love the way how you're thinking about using a manipulative. Now, I also want to think about how iReady uses personalized learning plans. So when you go in and you do your 2 lessons each week, did you know that they're actually working to help you get to your 451 and your 460? Yeah, so when you go in and you do your iReady lessons each week, you want to make sure you're getting 2 lessons done each week that are passed, not just going in and doing a lesson, but actually passing the lesson.
Okay.
That's because it's going to help you work on specific skills to meet that 451 and that 460. Some other things you can do to continue working on these skills is making sure that we are going slow, maybe practicing some of our math facts at home or during like downtime, and making sure that we're using like our SRRP, taking that time to like scan your text, read your questions, read the text, proving your answers in math as you're going, so that those taking your time. All right, so what is an action plan you want to take to help yourself?
I like making sure that I'm maybe practicing at home with my math facts, and then using SRRP.
I like that. Let's go ahead and write down our goals that we're going to be achieving with taking action. Excellent. Okay, so over here, as we're getting ready to kind of think about next steps, this one, classroom teachers, is more for a primary student who is in kindergarten, 1st grade, or 2nd grade. You're going to have that similar bar graph over here. What strategies are we looking for? And then what are they going to do? Take their time, do their best, asking questions, listening. So this is more for the primary, okay? The one that Scott and I were just doing was more for your intermediate students, students in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. This is to help your students set their own personal goals to take ownership of their learning. So, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop by my math room.